Darkness. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of exhaustion. Kratos opened his eyes to a sky he did not recognize. Grey clouds twisted endlessly above him, swirling like a wounded storm trapped in eternal agony. The air was heavy, thick with ash and despair. Every breath felt ancient, as if the world itself had been decaying for centuries. He slowly rose from cold stone ground, his muscles tense, instincts screaming. This was not Midgard, not Greece, not any realm he had ever conquered. Around him stretched a broken land, ruined towers, shattered bridges, and distant mountains barely visible through dense fog. Everything seemed frozen between life and death, as if the world had forgotten how to move forward. Kratos tightened his grip around the Leviathan axe. Wherever he was, danger would not be far. A faint echo drifted through the fog, not a voice, but a presence, ancient, hollow, and endless. It carried sorrow, suffering, and resignation, layered upon countless forgotten souls. This land was cursed. As Kratos advanced through crumbling ruins, his boots echoed against cracked stone. The silence was unnatural, broken only by the distant wind and the faint crackle of dying flames. Statues of long-fallen warriors lined the path, their faces frozen in despair. Then, movement. From behind a shattered archway, figures emerged, twisted humanoid forms, their bodies hollow, skin pale, eyes glowing faintly with madness. Their armor was rusted, their movements erratic, driven not by rage, but by desperation. The undead. They lunged at him without fear. Kratos did not hesitate. In a single motion, he hurled the Leviathan axe forward. Frost carved through the air, cleaving through two of them before they could scream. He recalled the weapon instantly, catching it with brutal precision as he charged. Each strike was fast, clean, efficient. The undead shattered beneath his blows, bodies collapsing into lifeless heaps. Yet something was wrong. As the last creature fell, its body dissolved into ash, drifting upward before vanishing entirely. Kratos narrowed his eyes. No blood, no death, only release. He pressed forward, crossing broken bridges and descending into forgotten corridors, until he reached the crumbling remains of Firelink's shrine, the last fragile refuge of a dying world. There, seated beside a fading bonfire, was a lone knight. His armor was worn, scarred by countless battles, his posture weary, his eyes hollow, yet faintly alive. The knight slowly looked up. "You're not undead," he said, his voice echoing softly through the ruins. Kratos said nothing. The knight gave a faint, humorless smile. "Then this land truly is changing." He gestured toward the flame. "Welcome to Lordran, a place where gods fall, and the dead refuse to stay dead." Kratos studied the man. "Explain," he demanded. The knight exhaled slowly. "This world is bound by a curse. When we die, we return. Again, and again, and again." His fingers tightened. "Each death strips away our memories, our purpose, until nothing remains but madness." Kratos felt a distant echo stir within him. A cycle, endless suffering, eternal punishment. "How does it end?" Kratos asked. The knight's gaze drifted toward the distant horizon. "Some say by linking the first flame. Others say by letting it die. But every attempt leads only to more ruin." He turned back. "This world doesn't seek salvation. It seeks prolongation." Kratos clenched his fists. A world trapped by fear of its own ending. He had seen this before, in gods, in titans, in himself. As Kratos stepped away from the bonfire, the sky trembled. A thunderous roar echoed across the land, shaking ruined towers and scattering ash into the wind. Something massive stirred, something ancient. The knight whispered, "The bells of awakening. You have triggered them." From the depths of Lordran, ancient powers began to rise. Kratos lifted his gaze, unafraid. Then, let them come. High above, atop a colossal fortress carved into the mountain itself, a monstrous presence awakened. The Bell Gargoyles. Their stone bodies cracked open as life surged back into them. Massive wings unfolded, blades scraped against ancient stone. And far deeper still, in forgotten crypts and burning chambers, greater beings stirred. The lords, Gwyn, Nito, the Witch of Izalith, and the lingering shadows of forgotten gods. For the first time in ages, Lordran felt something it had nearly forgotten. Fear. Kratos stood alone at the edge of a collapsing bridge, the fog rolling endlessly beneath him. Before him lay a world trapped in endless death. Behind him, nothing. He exhaled slowly. Very well. With deliberate steps, the ghost of Sparta walked forward, descending into the heart of a world that refused to die, unaware that destiny itself had just encountered its greatest threat. And somewhere in the depths of Lordran, the cycle began to tremble. The wind howled through the broken battlements of undead Parish. High above the crumbling towers, two colossal silhouettes emerged from the fog. Stone wings spread wide, blades gleamed in dying firelight. The bell gargoyles had awakened. Their monstrous roars tore through the air as they descended from the cathedral roof, shaking the ancient stone beneath Kratos' feet. Each step they took sent shockwaves through the ruined city, as if the world itself trembled before them. Kratos raised the Leviathan axe. He had slain gods, titans, and primordial beasts. Stone and flame would not stop him. The first gargoyle lunged. Its massive halberd crashed downward, shattering the stone floor where Kratos stood moments before. Dust and debris exploded outward, but Kratos was already moving, sprinting forward, leaping high, and driving his axe directly into the creature's chest. Ice surged. Cracks raced across its stone body as frost invaded ancient enchantments. The gargoyle roared in fury, swinging wildly, forcing Kratos backward. Then the second descended. Twin blades slashed through the air, their combined assault forming a relentless storm of steel and flame. Each strike pushed Kratos closer to the edge of the cathedral rooftop. For a brief moment he stood at the brink, endless fog and abyss yawning beneath him. The gargoyles closed in. Kratos exhaled and smiled. With a thunderous roar, Spartan rage erupted. He surged forward, bare hands shattering steel, tearing through enchanted stone as if it were clay. One gargoyle fell first, its head ripped free, its lifeless body crashing into the depths below. The second barely had time to scream before Kratos drove the Leviathan axe through its skull, freezing it solid mid-flight. The corpse shattered into fragments of ice and stone, scattering across Lordran like falling stars. Silence returned. The first bell of awakening rang. Its echo rolled across the entire kingdom. Deep beneath the surface, ancient eyes opened. Kratos descended into the depths of the world, into places long abandoned by hope. Through cursed forests, decaying cities, and forgotten prisons, he walked, leaving devastation in his wake. Undead fell, demons burned, ancient guardians shattered. Yet each victory revealed a darker truth. No matter how many he destroyed, the curse remained. Death did not end suffering. It merely delayed it. At the heart of a poisoned swamp, Kratos confronted chaos itself. The ruins of Izalith loomed above, half consumed by molten fire and corrupted life. From within the burning city emerged a monstrous presence, a twisted fusion of flame, demon, and despair. The Witch of Izalith's legacy, the bed of chaos. The ground fractured beneath Kratos as roots the size of towers burst upward, tearing through stone and magma alike. Waves of fire surged outward, melting entire structures in seconds. Kratos pressed forward. Every step threatened annihilation. He dodged collapsing platforms, leaped across rivers of molten fire, and carved through corrupted guardians. His armor scorched, his skin burned, but he did not slow. He never did. At the core of the inferno, he reached the ancient heart of the chaos. With one final brutal strike, Kratos ended the corrupted flame. The chaos receded. And somewhere, another ancient soul was extinguished. Far to the north, in a realm of eternal shadow, death itself stirred. The Tomb of the Giants. Kratos descended into absolute darkness, guided only by faint embers of dying souls. The air was thick with decay, every step echoed like a funeral drum. Then came the whispers, Not voices, but the lingering weight of countless deaths. At the heart of the abyss stood Gravelord Naito, a towering mass of bones, darkness, and rot. Souls drifted endlessly around him, screaming in silent agony. The god of death rose. Their battle was brutal. Blades clashed against skeletal claws. Frost met decay. Each strike shattered ancient remains, yet Naito regenerated endlessly, fueled by the souls of the dead. Kratos adapted. He froze entire legions of skeletal guardians, shattered them into dust, then hurled himself directly at Naito, ripping away chunks of his corrupted form. With a final earth-shaking blow, Kratos drove the Leviathan axe into the heart of the Grave Lord. The souls scattered. The god of death collapsed. Another ancient power extinguished. The second bell of awakening rang. Across Lordran, something shifted. The world groaned. For the first time in ages, the cycle felt pain. High above, in the golden ruins of Anor Londo, two ancient watchers observed. Dragonslayer Ornstein, Executioner Smaug. They felt the disturbance, the fall of gods, the collapse of ancient pillars, and they understood. A being had entered their world who did not belong to its rules, one who could kill what should never die. As Kratos ascended toward the radiant city, the sky cracked with lightning. Massive doors slowly opened, revealing a realm frozen in divine decay. Anor Londo, city of gods, and the final gate before the truth of this cursed world. Kratos tightened his grip on his weapon. Gods waited, and gods would fall. Golden light bathed the towering spires of Anor Londo. For a fleeting moment, the city appeared divine, untouched by decay, radiant with ancient glory. Massive cathedrals stretched toward the heavens, their white stone glowing beneath a pale sun that never truly warmed the land. But Kratos felt it instantly. This was not salvation. This was illusion. As he stepped onto the marble causeway, his footsteps echoed through endless halls of silence. No crowds, no life, only statues of forgotten gods and hollow corridors where laughter and prayer once lived, a kingdom frozen in denial. The air shimmered as two colossal figures descended before him. Dragonslayer Ornstein, Executioner Smaug. Golden armor gleamed, massive weapons scraped against ancient stone. Their presence radiated overwhelming divine power, remnants of a godly age that refused to fade. "You do not belong here," Ornstein declared, lightning crackling across his spear. Smaug laughed, a low, brutal sound. Another undead, seeking false glory. Kratos raised his axe. "I seek truth." The battle erupted. Ornstein vanished in a flash of lightning, reappearing behind Kratos in an instant. Smaug charged from the front, his hammer smashing downward with enough force to level entire buildings. Kratos rolled, barely avoiding annihilation. Lightning scorched the stone where he had stood. The shockwave of Smaug's blow hurled him across the chamber, shattering pillars upon impact. Pain flared. Kratos rose and charged. The Leviathan axe met divine steel. Frost clashed against lightning. Every strike shook the cathedral. Ornstein's speed was relentless, his movements precise, godlike. Smaug's raw power was catastrophic, each swing threatening to crush Kratos entirely. Yet Kratos adapted. He always did. Timing his assault, he hurled the axe, freezing Ornstein mid-dash. In the same breath, he leapt onto Smaug's massive frame, driving his blades deep into the executioner's shoulders, tearing through divine flesh. Smaug fell first. His thunderous collapse shook Anor Londo to its foundations. Ornstein screamed, not in rage but in despair. Absorbing Smaug's remaining power, his form surged with blinding energy. Lightning exploded outward as he ascended into his final form. But even divine fury could not halt the ghost of Sparta. With a final devastating blow, Kratos shattered Ornstein's spear and drove his axe through the dragon slayer's heart. Silence followed. Gods had fallen. At the heart of the cathedral, a radiant figure awaited. Guinevere, the goddess of sunlight. She stood tall, luminous, her voice soft and warm, a stark contrast to the ruin surrounding her. "Brave warrior," she said gently, You have proven yourself worthy. Take this vessel and fulfill your destiny. Link the flame. Preserve this world." Kratos stared at her. Something was wrong. No sorrow, no fear, no weight, only rehearsed hope. He clenched his fists. "This world is built on lies," he growled. With a sudden motion, he hurled the Leviathan axe. The illusion shattered. Light collapsed into fragments, revealing empty air. Guinevere vanished. Anor Londo darkened instantly. The golden sun faded, replaced by eternal twilight. The truth emerged. The gods had abandoned this world long ago. What remained was a story, told to keep the flame burning, to keep the cycle alive. Kratos descended deeper, guided now by truth instead of prophecy. Through abyssal caverns and forgotten temples, he reached the kiln of the first flame, a place suspended between existence and oblivion. There, surrounded by dying embers, stood Gwyn, Lord of Sunlight, once the greatest of gods, now a hollow shell. His armor was cracked, his body burned endlessly, fueled by sacrifice. He attacked without words, without reason, a broken king clinging to a fading purpose. Their battle was brutal. No glory, no triumph, only sorrow. Each strike against Gwyn felt like ending a tragedy that should have ended long ago. At last, Kratos stood before the fading lord. Gwyn collapsed, dissolving into ash. The first flame flickered, barely alive. Kratos stared into it. This fire was not hope. It was a chain, a prison that bound the world to endless repetition, forcing existence to rot slowly rather than die with dignity. A choice stood before him: link the flame and prolong suffering, or let it fade and allow the world to face true ending. Kratos exhaled slowly. He had once destroyed entire pantheons in pursuit of vengeance. Now he carried the weight of something far greater: mercy. He turned away. The flame dimmed, the world trembled, and the cycle began to crack. Darkness swallowed the world. No sky, no stars, no horizon, only the abyss. Kratos descended into a realm where light itself feared to exist. The air was heavy, crushing, filled with whispers that slithered through the mind like venom. This was not a place. It was a wound in reality. Every step echoed with the weight of countless souls devoured by endless shadow. Shapes twisted at the edges of his vision, forming and dissolving like nightmares struggling to remember their own existence. Then the darkness moved. A colossal presence stirred. Manos, the primeval father of the abyss, a towering monstrosity of shadow, bone, and pure despair. His massive arm dragged across the ground, tearing through stone as if it were flesh. Red eyes burned with ancient madness, locked onto Kratos with hatred older than memory. The abyss screamed, Manos roared, and the world shattered. Dark energy erupted outward, hurling Kratos through ruined pillars. The ground split apart, swallowed by bottomless voids. Every strike from Manos carried the weight of an entire collapsing world. Kratos rose through the chaos. His blades burned with frost and fire. Their clash was cataclysmic. Manos summoned torrents of abyssal magic, twisting gravity, bending space itself. Black spears rained from the void. Explosions of darkness consumed entire sections of the battlefield. Yet Kratos advanced. Every blow he landed carved glowing scars across Manos's corrupted flesh. Frost spread through shadow. Fire tore through endless night. Still, Manos fought on, not with strategy, not with reason, but with grief. Fragments of memory surfaced within the abyss, visions of a shattered kingdom, a stolen pendant, a lost love. The last remnants of humanity buried deep within the monster's heart. Manos was not born evil. He was broken. The abyss itself was his sorrow made infinite. Kratos hesitated, just for a heartbeat. Then he understood. Mercy would not save this being, only release. With a thunderous roar, Kratos unleashed his full might. Blades and axe tore through abyssal defenses, ripping through layers of shadow until he reached the creature's core. One final strike. Manos collapsed. The abyss howled, then, slowly, it receded. Darkness unraveled, collapsing inward like a dying star. Light returned. Kratos stood alone among fading shadows, but the echoes of the abyss lingered within him. This world was not meant to be saved. It was meant to end. Yet ending it would condemn countless souls still trapped within its curse. Above, beyond the collapsing void, time itself fractured. Kratos found himself drawn backward, through centuries, through forgotten wars, into the distant past. Ula Kaile, a kingdom of light and knowledge, untouched by decay. Here, humans still dreamed, still hoped, still believed in tomorrow. But even here, fate was already sealed. Kratos walked among its people, unseen, a ghost in history. He watched as scholars unearthed forbidden secrets. He witnessed the moment when curiosity turned into catastrophe, the birth of the abyss. And he understood. No matter what he changed, this world always returned to suffering. Every choice merely delayed the inevitable. When time released its grip, Kratos stood once more at the threshold of the kiln, the dying flame flickering weakly before him. The cycle had cracked, but it had not yet broken. One final decision remained, not of battle, but of legacy. Would Kratos become another god chained to sacrifice, or would he dare to defy the very concept of fate? He tightened his grip and stepped beyond prophecy. The first flame trembled. Its dying light cast long shadows across the kiln, flickering like the final heartbeat of a world on the edge of oblivion. Kratos stood before it in silence. For ages uncounted, gods, kings, and warriors had thrown themselves into this fire, sacrificing their bodies, their souls, their very identities, all to delay the inevitable, to preserve a lie. This flame did not bring hope. It only prolonged suffering. Every cycle reset the world into decay. Every rebirth erased progress. Every age was built atop the bones of the last. An endless prison of repetition. Kratos clenched his fists. He had once believed destruction was the only path to freedom. He had slaughtered gods, toppled realms, and drowned the world in blood to escape his fate. And yet, here he stood again, facing the same question. Was existence worth saving if it could never truly live? The echoes of the abyss whispered in his mind. The hollow eyes of undead warriors haunted his thoughts, countless souls trapped between life and death, begging for release. Kratos turned away from the flame. The fire dimmed. The world trembled. The age of fire began to collapse. Darkness spread across the horizon, swallowing the last remnants of false sunlight. The golden illusions of Anor Londo faded into eternal dusk. Kingdoms crumbled. Thrones turned to dust. Yet something strange happened. The world did not die. It breathed. For the first time the land was free. No prophecy, no divine chains, no cosmic script forcing existence to repeat itself. Only uncertainty and possibility. Kratos walked into the darkness, carrying neither crown nor destiny, only choice. Time passed. From the ashes of fallen kingdoms, new civilizations slowly emerged, not guided by gods, not ruled by divine fear, but shaped by will. Legends spread of a red-marked warrior who walked the cursed lands, slaying ancient horrors, protecting fragile settlements and guiding lost souls toward peace. They called him the Ashen God, the breaker of cycles, the one who ended fate. Yet Kratos sought no worship, no temples, no prayers. He wandered endlessly, ensuring that no tyrant, no false deity, no corrupted flame could ever rise again. In one final vision, Kratos stood atop a distant cliff, gazing upon a reborn world. Forests grew where ash once fell. Oceans shimmered beneath real sunlight. Children laughed where undead once roamed. And for the first time since his cursed birth, Kratos felt silence inside his soul. Not emptiness, not grief, but peace. The ghost of Sparta had died long ago. What remained was something far rarer, a god who chose mercy, and a warrior who finally laid his war to rest. As the camera pulled back, the narrator whispered, "In a world built on endless death, one god dared to choose an ending, and in doing so, gave birth to eternity.